The radio telescope's steady hum was Professor Juniper Walsh's only companion in the observation dome of the Morgan Ridge Observatory. Her colleagues had long since departed, leaving her alone with the stars and the mysterious signal that had appeared 3 nights ago. The November wind howled outside, rattling the dome's metal frame as she adjusted her thick-rimmed glasses and studied the pattern on her monitor for the 100th time. "Come on, show me your secrets," she muttered, fingers dancing across the keyboard. The signal wasn't random noise, it couldn't be. It followed a pattern too precise, too intentional to be cosmic background radiation or satellite chatter. A warning light flashed on her security panel. Something had triggered the perimeter sensors. Probably another deer, she thought, but protocol demanded she check. The observatory's cameras showed nothing but darkness and swirling snow until a figure emerged from the tree line. It moved wrong. That was Juniper's first thought. Too fluid, too precise, like watching a ballet dancer in zero gravity. As it approached the observatory's main entrance, security lights illuminated features that made Juniper's breath catch in her throat. Iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors in the harsh light, eyes that reflected back like mirrors, and movements that suggested an entirely different understanding of physics. The figure raised a hand to the security camera. A surge of static filled Juniper's monitors, and then a voice emerged from her computer speakers, beautiful, harmonic, and absolutely impossible. "Professor Walsh, I need your help, they're coming." Juniper's hand hovered over the emergency alert button. Protocol said to contact authorities immediately, but curiosity, the same drive that had led her to study the stars, made her hesitate. The signal she'd been tracking, the impossible being at her door. They had to be connected. Another security light flickered to life, revealing 3 more figures emerging from the forest. Unlike the first, these moved with predatory purpose, their forms encased in sleek armor that seemed to drink in the light. They carried weapons that hummed with energy that made Juniper's instruments spike wildly. The first figure spoke again, urgency clear in its melodic voice. "Please, I don't have much time." Juniper Walsh had spent her career searching the stars for signs of intelligent life. Now it was literally knocking at her door, and she had seconds to make a decision that could change everything. She took a deep breath, straightened her lab coat, and made her choice. "Security override Walsh 7 Alpha, she spoke clearly. "Main entrance unlock." The door slid open with a soft hiss, and Juniper Walsh's ordinary night of stellar observation became the beginning of an extraordinary adventure that would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, the universe, and humanity's place in it. The being stood in Juniper's office, its iridescent skin casting prismatic patterns across the star charts and academic awards that lined the walls. Up close, Juniper could see that what she'd initially thought was skin was more like a living crystal, shifting and flowing with each movement. The creature's eyes were multifaceted, like diamonds catching light from every angle, but somehow conveyed an unmistakable intelligence and fear. "My name is Nyxis," the being said, its voice a harmony of tones that made Juniper's desk instruments vibrate in sympathy. "Was a guardian of the stellar archive." Outside, the armored pursuers had disappeared back into the forest, but Juniper knew better than to think they'd given up. She'd locked down the observatory, but her security systems felt laughably inadequate against beings with technology far beyond human understanding. "The signal," Juniper said, pulling up the data on her screen. "You sent it." Nyxis moved closer, its crystalline form casting rainbow refractions across the monitor. "A warning and a request for aid. Your observatory, it's perfect. Remote. Advanced enough to detect our communications, but primitive enough to be overlooked." "Overlooked by whom?" "The harvesters." Nyxis's form dimmed slightly, like a cloud passing over a star. "They seek what I protect the coordinates to every inhabited world in this spiral arm of the galaxy, your Earth included." Juniper felt her scientific skepticism warring with the evidence of her own eyes. "Why would these harvesters want that information?" "Because they feed on potential." Nyxis's voice carried an edge of ancient sorrow. "They seek worlds on the cusp of interstellar travel, civilizations about to join the galactic community. They destroy them, absorb their technology, their knowledge, their very essence. Your world is approaching that threshold. A chill ran down Juniper's spine as she processed the implications. Earth is in danger. Yes, but also unique. Nyxis touched the monitor and the signal pattern transformed, revealing layers of complexity Juniper hadn't even detected. Your species, humans, you develop differently than most. Chaotically, unpredictably. The harvesters can't calculate your technological progression. It terrifies them. The observatory's lights flickered, and new alarms blared. Juniper's security feeds showed energy signatures surrounding the building, unlike anything her instruments were designed to detect. They're preparing to breach, Nyxis said, moving away from the windows. The harvester hunters. They'll destroy this place, eliminate all witnesses, take me back to extract the archive's secrets. Back where? The Void Station, a prison between dimensions where they keep beings like me, those who know too much, who pose too great a risk to their plans. Nyxis turned to Juniper, its crystalline form pulsing with urgent light. I chose your observatory for a reason, Professor Walsh. Your research, your theories about quantum entanglement and stellar communications, they're closer to the truth than you know. Juniper's mind raced through her publications, her rejected papers about using quantum states to transmit information across light years. Work her colleagues had dismissed as too speculative, too fantastic. You mean it's possible, my theories? More than possible, essential. Nyxis produced a small crystal, similar to its own form but darker, more dense. This contains a fragment of the archive. With it and your research, we might have a chance to warn every threatened world to help them prepare. But first, we need to survive the next few minutes. The building shook as something massive landed on the observatory's dome. Through the reinforced windows, Juniper caught glimpses of dark shapes moving with mechanical precision, their armor now glowing with activated weapons systems. Professor Walsh, Nyxis said softly, I need to know, will you help me protect not just your world but countless others, even if it means leaving behind everything you know? The answer should have been difficult. Juniper had spent her entire career in pursuit of scientific truth, building a reputation, a life dedicated to understanding the cosmos. But faced with living proof of everything she'd theorized, and the chance to save not just humanity but other emerging civilizations, there was only one choice. We'll need to reach my private lab in the basement, she said, already gathering essential data drives. I have equipment there that might help us, and a way out they won't expect. Nyxis's form brightened with what might have been hope. Thank you. Above them, the sound of cutting tools began to pierce the observatory's dome. Time was running out, and Juniper Walsh was about to learn that sometimes the most important scientific discoveries came not from careful observation, but from taking a leap into the unknown. Juniper's private lab was a stark contrast to the observatory above, a maze of modified quantum computers, experimental communications arrays, and equipment that would make her university's review board deeply uncomfortable. The sound of the harvesters cutting through the dome echoed through the building's foundations as she initiated emergency protocols. Most of this equipment isn't exactly officially approved, she explained, typing rapidly on several keyboards. When your research gets labeled too theoretical, you learn to work around institutional limitations. Nyxis moved through the space with evident fascination, its crystalline form reflecting off the various screens and metallic surfaces. You've built a quantum entanglement array? Crude, but remarkably innovative. Crude, Juniper raised an eyebrow, but a thunderous crash from above cut off any further discussion. They're in. We have maybe 2 minutes. She activated her backup systems, and hidden panels in the walls slid open, revealing more experimental equipment. Nyxis's multifaceted eyes widened at the sight of one particular device, a spherical construction of interlocking rings and pulsing energy cores. Impossible, the alien whispered. You've created a resonant sphere. How? Is that what it's called? Juniper grabbed the device. I based it on patterns I detected in stellar radiation, never got it to work properly, but... Nyxis touched the sphere and it hummed to life, the rings beginning to spin. With the archive fragment, this could. The alien's voice trailed off as heavy footsteps echoed from the stairwell. They're coming. Juniper pulled a hidden lever and a section of the floor slid away, revealing a narrow tunnel. Old maintenance shaft, leads to a bunker from the Cold War era. I modified it for, well, let's say unofficial experiments. They descended into the tunnel just as the lab door exploded inward. Through the closing floor panel, Juniper caught a glimpse of the Harvester hunters, their armor now fully activated, turning them into nightmarish figures of shifting metal and energy. The tunnel was cramped, forcing them to move in single file. Nyxus's crystalline body provided the only illumination, casting strange shadows on the curved walls. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew closer. The resonant sphere, Nyxus said as they ran. Combined with the archive fragment, it could disrupt their tracking systems, but the energy signature would alert others. Others, Juniper ducked under a low pipe. There are more than just these harvesters. Many more, some worse, some, Nyxus hesitated. Some who might help if they knew what was happening. The galaxy is not as united as the harvesters would like. They reached the bunker, a concrete chamber filled with more of Juniper's unauthorized equipment. She sealed the heavy door behind them, but they both knew it wouldn't hold for long. How much of the archive did you manage to save? Juniper asked, connecting the resonant sphere to her backup power systems. Enough to prove what the harvesters are doing, enough to show that Earth isn't their only target. Nyxus produced the dark crystal again. But we need a way to transmit the data across interstellar distances without detection. Juniper smiled, pulling a dust cover off her largest device, a massive array of crystalline structures suspiciously similar to Nyxus's own form. That's why you chose my observatory, isn't it? You saw my attempts to replicate your technology. Your species' gift for reverse engineering is remarkable, Nyxus admitted, though your methods are unorthodox. The bunker's lights flickered as something massive impacted the door. Juniper connected the resonant sphere to her array, hands moving with practiced efficiency despite the urgency of their situation. I have a theory, she said, attaching power couplings. The sphere's resonance pattern, it's similar to the quantum signature I detected in your signal, if we combine it with my array and your archive fragment. We could create a broadcast the harvesters can't trace, Nyxus finished. But the power requirements would overload every system in the facility. Juniper didn't look up from her work. Good thing I already backed up my research data. Hope you're ready for a light show. The door buckled under another impact, metal screaming as it began to tear. Nyxus inserted the archive fragment into the resonance sphere, and the entire array came alive with impossible colors. Energy coursed through the crystals, creating patterns that hurt Juniper's eyes to look at directly. Once we activate this, she warned, we'll have seconds before the whole place goes into meltdown. Please tell me you have an escape plan. Nyxus's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. Professor Walsh, I believe it's time to show you how my species really travels between stars. The door exploded inward just as Juniper threw the final switch, and the bunker erupted in a cascade of quantum energy that would be visible from orbit. What happened next would challenge everything she thought she knew about the laws of physics and her own species' place in the cosmos. When Juniper opened her eyes, the concrete bunker had vanished. She found herself in a vast chamber that seemed to be made entirely of living crystal, similar to Nyxus's form but on an architectural scale. Scattered around the space were others beings of various forms, some crystalline like Nyxus, others more organic, and most surprisingly humans. Welcome to the Nexus, Nyxus said, helping her stand. Juniper's legs felt wobbly, like she'd just stepped off a roller coaster. One of the few safe havens left in this sector of the galaxy. A tall figure approached them, human, wearing what looked like a modified military uniform. His dark skin bore strange iridescent markings, and his eyes had the same multifaceted quality as Nyxus's. Commander Marcus Vale, he introduced himself, offering a hand to Juniper. Former Earth Special Forces until I learned what was really happening in our solar system. You must be Professor Walsh. Your quantum research has been... noticed. Juniper shook his hand, nodding how the markings on his skin seemed to pulse with his heartbeat. You're human, but you've been changed. Enhanced, Marcus corrected. A gift from our crystalline allies helps us interface with their technology, speaking of which, he turned to Nyxis. The archive fragment. Nyxis produced the dark crystal, now glowing with internal energy after their quantum broadcast. Safe, and thanks to Professor Walsh's resonance sphere, we managed to send a warning to several key worlds. But not without consequences, a new voice said. Another crystalline being emerged from a nearby corridor, this one larger than Nyxis, its form shot through with veins of what looked like liquid starlight. The harvesters will have detected the broadcast. They'll accelerate their plans. Professor Walsh, Nyxis said, this is Celestes, one of the original guardians of the archive, my mentor. Celestes' form rippled with what might have been concern. The quantum signature of your broadcast was unique, unlike anything we've seen. How did you achieve it? Juniper hesitated, looking around the chamber. Dozens of eyes, human and alien, were now focused on her. I based it on patterns I found in pulsar emissions. There was something artificial about them once you knew what to look for. I thought I was crazy, but... You found our old network, Celestes said. The original quantum communications grid we built millennia ago. The one the harvesters thought they'd destroyed completely. Marcus whistled. No wonder they've been so interested in Earth's technological development. You stumbled onto their biggest security breach. A series of alarms suddenly echoed through the chamber. Holographic displays materialized, showing what looked like star maps with dozens of pulsing red points. Harvester ships, Nyxis explained grimly. They're mobilizing, dozens of fleets all heading toward developing worlds. Including Earth, Marcus added. Your broadcast got their attention, Professor. They're moving up their timetable. Juniper watched the holographic ships move across the star maps, her mind racing. These patterns, they're not random. The fleet movements, they follow the same quantum resonance frequencies I detected. If we could somehow disrupt that. You're suggesting we turn their own coordination system against them. Celestes' form brightened with interest. More than that. Juniper moved to one of the displays, her fingers tracing patterns in the air that the holographic system somehow recognized. If your technology is based on quantum entanglement, and they're using corrupted versions of your old network, we could trigger a cascade failure across their entire command structure, Nyxis finished, excitement evident in their harmonic voice. Marcus frowned. The power requirements would be astronomical. We'd need to tap into something as powerful as a pulsar, Juniper said. The very ones they've been using as cover for their communications. We could use my resonance sphere design scaled up too. She stopped as she realized everyone in the chamber was staring at her. Celestes moved forward, their crystalline form now pulsing with intense light. You understand, they said softly, that what you're suggesting has never been attempted. The risks are better than watching the harvesters destroy every emerging civilization in the galaxy, Juniper finished. My entire career, I've been called crazy for seeing patterns no one else could see. Now I know why those patterns were there. We have to try. Marcus shared a look with Nyxis, then nodded. I'll contact our other cells, get our enhanced human operatives in position. If we're going to attempt something this insane, we'll need every advantage. The remaining archive guardians must be notified as well, Celestes said. This plan, it could change everything. Juniper watched as the chamber erupted into activity, various beings moving with new purpose. She felt simultaneously overwhelmed and oddly at peace. All her years of research of being dismissed by her peers had led to this moment. Are you ready? Nyxis asked, moving to her side. Once we begin, there's no turning back. The harvesters will throw everything they have at us. Juniper thought of her quiet observatory, her comfortable academic life. Then she thought of all the worlds in danger, all the civilizations about to have their potential stolen from them. I've spent my career looking for patterns in the stars, she said. Time to make some new ones. The Nexus's central command chamber had transformed into a hub of frenzied activity. Holographic displays showed hundreds of pulsars across the galaxy, each one a potential weapon in their desperate plan. Juniper worked alongside Nixus and a team of enhanced humans, adapting her resonance sphere design to a scale she'd never imagined possible. The quantum harmonics have to be perfect, she explained, manipulating a three-dimensional model of her device. One misaligned frequency, and we could accidentally trigger a real pulsar explosion instead of just hijacking its output. Marcus entered the chamber, his iridescent markings glowing with urgency. Harvester fleet movements updated. They're not just heading for Earth anymore, they're targeting every world that received our warning broadcast. 17 civilizations, all on the brink of interstellar capability. They're frightened, Celestes observed, their crystalline form dimming slightly. Never before have they faced exposure on this scale. Their response will be extreme. Juniper watched the holographic fleets move through space, her mind racing through calculations. How long until they reach the first target? 6 hours, Marcus said grimly. A civilization called the Meridani, brilliant architects, they've built cities that can think. The Harvesters want their technology badly. Then that's our test site, Juniper decided. We'll calibrate the resonance pulse to the nearest pulsar in their system, if it works. If it works, we can replicate it across the galaxy, Nixus finished. But if it fails... The unspoken consequence hung in the air. Failure meant watching a civilization die, their potential harvested by beings who saw emerging cultures as nothing but resources to be consumed. A new alarm blared through the chamber. One of the enhanced humans, a former quantum physicist named Dr. Raven, called out from her station. "We've got trouble. Harvester probe ships just appeared in Earth's orbit. They're scanning for quantum signatures." "Looking for more evidence of our technology," Celestes said. "They suspect Earth has more secrets to reveal." Juniper moved to the display showing her home planet. Tiny red dots indicated the probe ships, their scan patterns forming a web around the globe. "They'll find my observatory, all my research." "Already taken care of," Marcus assured her. "Our operatives cleaned out your lab before the Harvesters could reach it, but they'll find other signs. Earth scientists have been getting closer to cracking quantum communications. That's why the Harvesters moved up their timeline." "Professor Walsh," Dr. Raven called out, "the resonance sphere prototype is ready for testing." Juniper joined her at the testing chamber, a vast space where a scaled-up version of her device hung suspended in a web of crystalline energy. It was beautiful and terrifying, like a mechanical star about to be born. "Power calculations are done," Nixus reported, their form interfacing directly with the chamber's controls. "The pulsar near the Meridani system is in optimal position. We have one chance to get this right." Juniper took a deep breath, reviewing the quantum equations one last time. Everything she'd theorized about stellar communication, about the hidden patterns in the cosmos, had led to this moment. Begin power-up sequence. The resonance sphere hummed to life, its interlocking rings beginning to spin. Energy coursed through the crystalline framework, creating patterns that seemed to bend space itself. On the monitors, the pulsar's emissions began to fluctuate. "Quantum resonance achieving synchronization," Dr. Raven reported. "Harvester communications showing first signs of interference." Celestes moved closer to the sphere, their form pulsing in harmony with its energy. "The patterns, they're perfect. How did you know?" "I didn't," Juniper admitted, making minor adjustments to the power flow. "I just followed the math where it led. Sometimes the universe hands you a puzzle piece you didn't even know you were looking for." Suddenly, multiple alarms blared at once. Marcus rushed to the strategic display. Multiple Harvester ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're heading straight for the Meridani system. "They detected our interference," Nixus said urgently. "We have to act now." Juniper looked at the resonance sphere, its energy now approaching critical levels. Everything they'd theorized, everything they'd built, came down to this moment. She thought of her quiet nights at the observatory, searching for patterns in the stars. Now those same patterns might save not just her world, but countless others. Celestes, she called out, I need you to interface directly with the sphere. Your crystalline structure can handle the quantum feedback better than our technology. Nyxis, coordinate with the Meridani defense grid. They need to be ready. Everyone else, hold on to something. This is going to get interesting. She placed her hands on the control panel, feeling the thrum of power through the crystal interface. Above them, the resonant sphere began to sing, a sound that existed somewhere between music and mathematics. Juniper Walsh, who had spent her life studying the stars, was about to rewrite the laws of physics themselves. Initiating quantum cascade, she announced. Let's show the harvesters what happens when you underestimate an emerging civilization.